And now, the best 60-ish seconds of your week. I know you're all expecting conversation about nothing but impeachment today, but I'm going to start with something else. A little conversation I had at lunch the other day with my friend Brian Lockman, the president of the Pennsylvania Cable Network, PCN, Pennsylvania's premier public affairs outlet. By the way, they're celebrating their 40th anniversary, so happy anniversary to PCN at the epicenter of the Pennsylvania family. And he was asking me about Ed Delahanty, the only Major League ball player who ever died going over Niagara Falls. Now, I'm pretty sure there weren't too many others that either attempted or unfortunately had that occur. He was inebriated, shall we say, at the time. But Ed Delahanty was one of 3 Philadelphia Phillies who homered 4 times in a single game. The vaunted New York Yankees only ever had 1 player to do that, Lou Gehrig, but the Phillies had 3. Delahanty, Chuck Klein, and Mike Schmidt, although Schmidt had a little asterisk next to him because his game went extra innings. But Delahanty, Hall of Fame ball player, led the league in hitting many times, actually hit over 400 on 3 different occasions. Little trivia of baseball there as we move into the postseason play. But of course, impeachment does dominate the conversation, as this week Nancy Pelosi seized upon the whistleblower report to say, let's have a full inquiry into all of this. Ordinarily, it takes a House vote to authorize the Judiciary Committee to do that. Nancy Pelosi wants to duck that because she's pretty sure, she's a shrewd vote counter, that in so doing, she would cost her Democrats seats in Congress, because the American people really don't want this stuff. She knows that, so she's going to let it go down. Whether or not the Judiciary Committee actually is allowed to proceed without a House vote, open to question. Whether or not they actually issue articles, another big question. Whether or not Nancy Pelosi can get 218 votes on the floor to move it over to the Senate, huge question. But this much is pretty certain. The Senate of the United States, at least on what we have so far, is not going to remove Donald Trump from office. So it's a purely political process. And it runs from Congresswoman Tlaib saying we're going to impeach the MFer to Al Green just last week admitting that he believes that if they don't impeach him, he somehow thinks that means removal from office. It doesn't. But if they don't impeach him, that Trump will be reelected. He's probably right about that. But this much seems pretty clear. It's going to cost Joe Biden the nomination, because as the facts begin to spill out about his son's dealing with Ukraine and his complicity in that, or potential complicity anyway, not going to be very good for him. Meanwhile, his candidacy has been tanking anyway. So let's look down the road a little bit for what all this means. It's not going to mean removal for Donald Trump from office. The facts simply don't warrant it. The American people don't want it. And the Democrats do this at their peril. One Democrat, Tulsi Gabbard, and her campaign now is in its ascendancy. She's now made it onto the main stage for the next Democratic debate, which really is the cutoff point for all the Democrats. If you don't make it onto the main stage for the next debate, your candidacy is basically over. It's a vanity candidacy at that point. So that small group, she's not going to be a part of. She has a compelling story. A military veteran, combat veteran, not a crazy left Democrat by any stretch of the imagination, attractive woman. I know that's what you all are going to say, but they say it about men, you can say it about women too. She's going to be one of the candidates to watch, because ultimately Elizabeth Warren, who has now emerged as the front runner, is going to have an awful lot of problems. I mean, she's fundamentally unelectable, and you're beginning to see the soft underbelly of her campaign in the fact that the Wall Street Democrats, yeah, there are a few despite all of their rhetoric, are now turning against her. That is going to be a major problem for Elizabeth Warren, because it points out the fact that she's fundamentally unelectable. And with Joe Biden in real trouble, who do the Democrats look to that isn't simply crazy left? Watch Tulsi Gabbard. That'll be interesting. But for now, that is the best 60-ish seconds of your week.